We can get on the bridge! Russell!
Get to the bridge!
Hurry!
Right behind you.
Start already! Take care! Oh, shit, I ain't feeling right. Where is everyone? Francis! Is anyone there? What the hell was that?
Okay, let's see. How to legalize nuclear bombs in Europe.
What the hell are you doing, Francis?
Oh, shit. Fuck. Throw the evidence. Throw it out. Fuck. Okay, thank you. Anyway, hello. I did not see you there.
Cut the
I was
horseshit,
totally not
Francis.
doing anything suspicious, nor I was doing anything illegal. Why would I do such heinous crimes, hmm? I am a very innocent person. Although I may have a couple of criminal history, but we're gonna ignore that topic. But nonetheless, hello and welcome back to another Dead by Daylight video, where today we're going to be talking about a survivor that has this very special place in my heart,
Looks
in
like
that
your big mouth still
it is my
works.
#1 survivor that I always play as. And so, this video is going to be a little bit interesting because, despite me talking about a survivor, but I am mostly going to be talking about their playstyle and how they emphasize what type of playstyle are they mainly focusing on, depending on their perks. Now, for some of you that might be thinking, random, all the survivors are exactly the same. They have no sort of special stats or any sort of advantages or disadvantages. It's mainly their height and their appearances that is different. Now, that is true, yes, but consider this. Imagine that Bill has like a special stats about it. Okay? Let's just imagine that scenario. I'm not going to dive deeper into that topic, but let's just pretend about it. Okay?
This guy's
Now,
nuttier than candy bar
Bill
shit.
as a character is a very interesting one because he mainly emphasizes on being the hero of the trial, or mainly the sacrificial one. What do I mean by this is that he mainly prioritizes on helping others that are in need, even if they're weak or not. And so that it builds a gameplay that mainly prioritizes on him sacrificing himself to help others. And so when the situation calls for it, he is able to turn the game around, if he can, of course. And if he's the last one standing, expect him to get the fuck out of it without any sort of problem whatsoever. So, let's talk about the 3 perks that he brings into the table and what type of perk builds and how you should be playing them with. So the first ever perk build that he brings with is a borrowed time. Essentially, it increases the endurance and movement speed that you get when you unhook a survivor by additional 10 seconds. So this is good for the survivor to be able to get out or take a hit for you at any time. This perk is extremely powerful when the game is about to end and everyone is like struggling to save the last survivor that's on hook and the killer is camping. When this perk comes into play, expect you to be able to save them instantly. And so, how should you be playing this with perk? Well, simple. You want to be the main hero in the game, the main savior and healer in the game. And so, you want to always prioritize healing people as much as you can, but don't do it like all the time, you know? If the survivor is on the opposite side of the map, then of course you could run the opposite side, the other side of the map and help them, but you're wasting time trying to save them. And the worst part that could happen is if there's another survivor that just comes around the fucking corner without any sort of announcement and just rescues them in front of you, and then you just sit there and you just want to fucking smoke more cigarettes so lung cancer can come in and kill you much more quicker. Yeah. Anyway, so, well, what type of perk deck should you be bringing this with? Well, there are many ways that there are many perks that go well with this perk, especially. But the best perk, that, in my opinion, that fits well with this is Well Make It. Because of the 100% healing bonus that you get when you unhook a survivor, even if the killer does decide to come back and you don't have time to finish it, that survivor that you unhook has enough time to get the fuck out, because of the extra 10 seconds. And trust me, 10 seconds is something that you do not want to fuck around with. It's an extremely long time in this game. And so, this perk that mainly emphasizes on you being the main unhooker. That sounded extremely wrong.
You are an idiot.
But nonetheless, this perk that mainly emphasizes on you helping everyone out of the hook as quick as you can, of course. And so, of course, you can bring this with like other perks like bonding knowledge and more. But you don't need to always bring in Will Make It. You can always combine this with other perk, or just bring the borrowed time itself as a perk, and that's it, and don't bring anything else. Left Behind is a very simple but a very situational perk that just allows you the ability to see the hatch within a 32-meter range, at max level, of course. And so, this is interesting, but also kind of bad at the same time, because, of course, if you're always the first one to die, then this perk is not going to be effective. But if there is a situation where you're somehow the last survivor standing, and the hatchet doesn't get closed by the killer, you'll be able to get out without any issues. But because the fact that you have to be the last survivor standing, and without having the killer to close the hatch, this can be very tough. But you can bring in a key. Now you might cringe at that, hearing the term, bring in a key, but consider this. You know all those aura reading perks that let you see killers or survivors at a specific range? Bond, Object of Obsession, Dark Sense, and so on? You know what? The perk, the skeleton key allows you to see that. Sure, it's not as effective as like a toolbox or a medkit, but it's also another underrated item. It's like despite eating a shit ton of nerf in the past, it is still a solid item that allows you to see the killer's aura and the survivor's aura, of course. And so, there's not really much else to talk about this perk other than the fact that it's kind of situational, and you shouldn't really be bringing in this perk. Unbreakable is another perk that can either change the game or do nothing 90% of the time. What it essentially does is it allows you to recover from the dying state to the injured state yourself, without any help, only once per trial. And it also increases the recovering speed while in the ground by 35%. So, when you should be recovering exactly? There are many ways that you can recover and don't recover. The only time you should really be recovering is if you have an exhaustion perk ready to be activated, mainly Sprint Burst. Take this as a prime example. Why am I saying Sprint Burst and not like other perks? Well, let's just imagine a scenario: a new player comes in and is just like trying the game out, and you know, they got Unbreakable, but they don't know what to combine with. So imagine in this scenario. Imagine having Sprint Burst ready and you have Unbreakable ready. You can recover in front of the killer and get the fuck out instantly. But of course the killer is most likely going to target you, but you're wasting their time, which is something you should be mainly doing in this game. So, the only time you should be recovering from the dying state is if you have Sprint Burst ready, and you're not exhausted, of course, and you have time to get the fuck out, or if you're confident enough that no one's coming to help you, and the killer just left you there to bleed out. And another way you can use this is if everyone is on the ground, and the killer is picking up a survivor to hook them, you can recover, go help the other survivors, and start spreading out. But the only time you should never be recovering is if you don't have your exhaustion perk ready, mainly Sprint Burst, and the killer is right in front of you, then don't get up. Simple as that. Save your Unbreakable for another time, even if it doesn't happen. Or even if you don't have a chance to use it again, but don't waste it. Because once the situation calls for it, it is going to be very powerful to help you on the journey. Or, the another time you should not be wasting this perk is if a survivor is coming towards you. What you should do is 99 the recovery bar, and then go crawl towards the survivor and get back up. Or let them pick you up. And so, it practically just counters the slugging most of the time. And so, the best perk build that I can sort of bring you in, you don't need any sort of like DLCs or whatsoever. Well, except for one, pretty much, but this is my idea of a build. You bring in Unbreakable, Sprint Burst, Vigil, and then you bring in Tenacity. But if you don't have access to any of those perks, then of course you can bring in different perks like well, shit, I don't know what else you could bring in. But think of any other perk that you think is going to suit well with. There are already so many fucking perks in the game, and it's kind of tough for me to sort of like give you a proper explanation of what to bring in and what you shouldn't bring in. So think of a perk that you think is going to fit well with. But the two main perks that you want to combine this perk with is with Sprint Burst, so you can get the fuck out instantly if you recover in front of the killer. And so on and so on. So what type of items should you be bringing into the table? Well, that of course that depends on how you want to be playing this game. If you want to be the main healer in the game, like you're bringing in Borrowed Time and it will make it, or any other healing perk or whatever, you bring in a Ranger medkit with either extra charges, or you bring in a syringe, or you bring in any sort of add-on that increases the healing speed. Anything works. You want the most fastest healing speed, or do you want to be able to heal more people much more effectively? So that kind of like depends on your playstyle, of course. Another way you can also, and I don't really have any other idea to like combine Borrowed Time with another item, so just this is my main suggestion. Medkit with either extra charges or extra healing speed. So with Unbreakable, there are many ways that you can sort of combine this with. You can combine with a medkit with a syringe that heals you, or you can use the Styptic agent that allows you to take another hit in front of the killer. And so if you recover in front of the killer and you take a hit, then you'll be able to get out. Another thing I should mention is that Unbreakable has the ability to like be combined with the majority of the perks in the game. So, but it requires DLCs to like make them work. Of course, that I'm mainly talking about Survivor players who don't have DLCs. So, right now I'm going to be talking about what other perks you can bring in if you have those DLCs. What you can bring Unbreakable with is you can bring in Flip Flop, Power Struggle, and another perk of your choice. So what it essentially does is every time you fill up the recovery bar, Flip Flop is going to convert that into Wiggle Progress. And since you have Unbreakable that increases the speed of it, with Power Struggle, if your wiggle time or your wiggling progress is at 15%, you can drop the pellet on the killer while you're on their shoulder. Of course, this is not going to happen all the time, but again, it's just another niche perk. Another niche like combination that you can do. And another perk that you can bring is from Cheryl Mason, the perk Soul Guard, that lets you have the endurance status effect when you recover yourself or be recovered by another survivor. And another perk that you can bring into the table, with both Unbreakable or with Borrowed Time for that matter, is made for this. Essentially, whenever you recover yourself from the dying state, and you go rescue another survivor that was like being slugged by the killer, and the killer's coming back, you finish the heal, you take the hit, and then you run the fuck away. And another way you can do is like, if you have Borrowed Time and then will make it, if you finish the heal in front of the killer is going to assume that you're going to die, because, well, the survivor doesn't have enough time to come in and body block. And so, once you finish the heal while you're injured, of course, you'll be able to take the hit and run away. But like I said, these are my suggestions. Of course, you can run with any perk you want that you think is going to fit well with. But these are my suggestions that if you want a specific build or like any sort of combinations, to say at least. And so, how should you be playing Bill, or most specifically with his perks? Well, like I said, Bill's perks mainly prioritizes on you being the main hero of the group. The one that can change the table at the blink of a time. So you either change the game entirely, or you're getting cucked over instantly. And so, a lot of the time where, even in the in-game collabs, where you save a survivor but you get killed, it is a win-win for you. Well, maybe not for you, but in my eyes, as someone who mains Bill, whenever I save someone, or like a group of people, but they make it out and I don't, I see that as a win-win. It's like, the Bill's playstyle mainly prioritizes on you being the hero, the one that everybody needs beside them. You are the protector, you are the one that saves them. And so, even if you don't make it out, at least that they made it. They're out of the danger. You save their asses, maybe even temporarily. As long as you help them and they manage to get out of the situation quick, it's a win-win for you. And so Bill mainly focuses on saving others and changing the game's pace instantly. Like, say an example, the killer decides to slug everyone, is chasing the last survivor that is about to get downed. You recover from the dying state with Unbreakable, you go help the other survivors, and then you all start to make a plan, or like start making decisions, essentially. Of course, this is a solo queue we're talking about. It's not going to work always, because there might be that one fucking Nia that just decides to run towards the killer and be a complete fucking idiot, and then complain about how the game is killer-sided, when in reality, they're too fucking brain-dead to even think twice. But nonetheless, is Bill a good character for new players? Like, for those that just got the game and are like thinking of who to play first? Yes, Bill as a character is extremely good for new players, although their perk build mainly emphasizes on being the main savior. But his 3 perks are pretty good for newer players. Borrowed Time rewards them heavily for being altruistic, and Unbreakable changes the pace of the game and like the current situation of it. So, for newer players, he is pretty good. And for the veteran players, his perks are still pretty solid. However, I'm just kind of sad the fact that Borrowed Time became a base perk. And I am sort of afraid that they'll make Unbreakable a base kit as well. Because Borrowed Time wasn't a base kit back in the earlier days. Jesus, I sound like Bill again. Fucking hell,
I'm getting
old.
too old for
Because
this
back in the earlier
horseshit.
days, base kit Borrowed Time wasn't even a thing. So this perk had a lot of value. But because it became base kit, the perk sort of lost its value just a little bit. But not much. This perk is still good, don't get me wrong. This perk is still great. But just sort of lost its value a little bit. And when the base Unbreakable comes in, this perk is also going to lose its value, but we're gonna have to wait and see how it affects. Of course, these are just rumors I heard about Unbreakable being base kit. I could be very wrong about that. So, anyway, that's it about Bill. I wish you all the best, and have a great fucking day. I fucking love you all. Before I go, my next video on this channel is going to be a Dying Light 2 video. Mainly a challenge. Just a little bit of a fun time for me. This is going to be the first ever gameplay commentary from me, sort of. Even though I did say I won't be making gameplay commentary, but let's face it. Am I really that trustworthy? Come on, be honest. I'm like, first of all, I'm European. Eastern European, for that matter. That makes me the least trustworthy person of all time. But jokes aside, I want to thank you all for participating and watching this video. And as always, have a good day. Bye, baby.